welcome to the No Spin News for Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. Stand up for your country. So we are all being misled by the First Amendment, not by the amendment itself, which is pristine, but by how it's being interpreted. And all of this has come to light in the wake of the Charlie Kirk assassination. So, old adage, anything you say can and will be used against you. I'm the poster boy for that. Twisted, turned, out of context, whatever it may be. But the First Amendment is our most important freedom. And I hate to see it abused the way it is right now. And that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So let's define what we're talking about. Here is the First Amendment. Quote, Congress should make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances, unquote. Brilliant. That's James Madison with an assist from Thomas Jefferson and a little advice from Benjamin Franklin. Brilliant. Holds up. But freedom of speech now is being used in a very political way, and it's getting to be dangerous. So let me run it down and back up what I say. We begin with Attorney General Pam Bondi, who a couple of days ago was talking about the danger of hate speech. Roll tape.
We've been fighting these universities left and right, and we're not going to stop. There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
Okay, but it has to be a direct line before the Justice Department gets involved. So there has to be what they call a cause and effect. You say something, and that puts a person in danger or harms that person in some way. The line has got to be direct. Can't be indirect, can't be theoretical, or any of that. So Ms. Bondi, under some pressure, had to clarify what she said, and here is the quote. Hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence is not protected by the First Amendment. It's a crime. Far too long, we've watched the radical left normalize threats, call for assassinations, cheer on political violence. That era is over. Under 18 U.S.C. 875C, it is a federal crime to transmit any communication containing any threat to kidnap any person or any threat to injure the person of another. Okay, and that's fine. And that's the law. And it should be upheld. But again, it is a direct line. Evidence has to be there. I am going to kill you, Mr. Brown. All right? Now, you threaten somebody like that, the cops are going to show up. If you defame somebody, the civil lawyers will show up. You do not have the right to do that. We all clear. Okay. So, the leftist media, of which Ms. Bondi is referring, and President Trump does it all day long too, wants to change the country. All right? They don't like the country the way it is, and they want fundamental changes, so they have glommed on to the progressive left. And the leftist media, the five major national networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, MS, and CNN, they torture President Trump. And I use the word literally. They torture him. And he believes that this is a form of hate speech, which you could make an argument for that, but not a legal argument. You can make a moral argument that they hate him so much, the networks, that it is way out of proportion, harming the nation. So one of the chief offenders in President Trump's mind is ABC News correspondent Jonathan Karl. All right? And Karl approached the president before he left for England. Roll it.
And what do you make of Pam Bondi saying she's going to go after hate speech? Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech.
We'd probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me $16 million for a form of hate speech. So maybe they'll have to go after you.
Now, the president is being facetious. He's just giving Karl jazz. But a liberal friend of mine who should know better texted me and said, "Oh, look at this." He said, "Come on. President Trump does that stuff all the time. It's not to justify it. You don't take it seriously. He's not going to go after Jonathan Karl." The 16 million, of course, was referring to Stephanopoulos on ABC, who called Trump a rapist. And that wasn't backed up by anything, so ABC had to pay all that money to the Trump library. All right. Now we go to Whoopi Goldberg. Ms. Goldberg is a sincere individual. She's not a phony like some of the others are. But she lives in a world of her own. So she is now talking about speech as well. Go.
I always thought that this administration campaigned on ending the weaponization of free speech. So I know there's a lot of stuff people say that I don't like. I don't like it. But as an American, I have the right to say I don't like it, and they have the right to say it.
But not on The View. They don't have the right to say it on The View because The View has not booked one conservative guest this year. Not one. I used to go on there all the time. I'm not conservative, but I certainly lean traditional when Barbara Walters was running the show. So Whoopi Goldberg is, I could say it, you could say it, that's all good. Well, why don't you have any other voices on your show? Every voice you have, every guest you have is a liberal. Every one. So this is freedom of speech? No, it's not. Because you're censoring one whole part of the country, refusing to allow them a forum to be heard. See that? Freedom of speech, if it's excluded, doesn't exist. If you can't say in a forum what you'd like to say, you don't have freedom of speech. And that is what the 5 liberal networks have done. They wiped it out. Totally. At least on Fox News, they don't have too many, but they have some liberal voices. Not on The View, not one. Colbert, not one. The only non-liberal he brought on in the entire year is Liz Cheney, who hates Trump, and that's the only reason she was there, so she could hate him more on television. All right, and it goes down the line. You know, I'm doing a book tour for Confronting Evil. You're not going to see me on a Sunday morning CBS program, which sells books, does a big author thing. They don't book anybody who's not liberal. Thank you, Jane Pauley. That's very, very nice of you. Freedom of speech doesn't exist. That is the con, C-O-N. All the liberals, oh yeah, I'm freedom of speech, yeah, but not on my show. Oh no, not booking you. It really, I'm sitting back here going, and I'm glad I'm being able to tell you this because I'm sure it never occurred to you because you can't monitor what's happening on these programs every day. I can, you can. But that's what's happening. It's been happening for 10 years, ever since Trump got into the political arena. So just summing up, you have to be realistic about this. Pam Bondi wants to go after freedom of speech and say certain types of it are violent, lead to violence. She can do that. That is legitimate. But it's a very narrow window. Very narrow. It can't be an opinion. It's got to be a threat. All right? But Justice Department has the power. If you threaten the President of the United States, you're going to get arrested. Secret Service is going to come to your house, or a senator, or a Supreme Court person, any of that. If you threaten your neighbor and your neighbor can prove it, that this person wants to do me harm, you're going to be in trouble. Now, there is a glimmer of hope. So yesterday I did an interview with Major Garrett, my old colleague at Fox News, now worked for CBS, and he's a good reporter. And he called me and said, look, you want to talk about confronting evil and the State of the Union? I said, sure. So I did a long thing, which we posted on BillO'Reilly.com. You can see the whole thing, but I'm going to just give you a clip now. I was surprised to get that invitation because for 10 years, we didn't get any invitations from any network for anything. Roll the tape.
In terms of phraseology and definition, Bill, is there a practical and important difference between the left in America and the radical left?
Yeah, there's a difference, but you don't hear from the moderate left because all the money and all the amplification is on the radical left. So the big Soros money and the big dark money going in, they're not going to agencies that are traditionally liberal. They're going to, let's blow it up. And then that's amplified on social media. They want clicks. Well, who's going to get the clicks? The people that are saying the most outrageous stuff. And it works on the right, too. But the right doesn't have the centrality that the progressive left has. And plus, you got 5 networks that are sympathetic to the progressive left. And 1 network that's sympathetic to the traditional conservatives. So you're heavily outnumbered there as well. All right. So again, I was surprised to get the invitation. I was pleased to get it. We want to get the word out all over the place. But there's a lot of the censorship going on now, and I'm trying to break it down, almost single-handedly trying to break it down. And there's other things that I'm not ready to tell you about that are disturbing. But when I nail it all down, I will. And the reason that CBS did allow me to go on with Major Garrett is because they've had a management change. Skydance bought it, as you know. And Skydance doesn't want to be exclusionary, which is great. And I'm hoping that CBS rises. And that's a memo. Let's face it, the U.S. economy is under stress. National debt rising, trade war shaking the markets. And meanwhile, China is dumping the dollar and stockpiling gold. That's why I protected my savings with physical gold and silver through the only dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. And you can do this. Get precious metals delivered to your door or place in a tax-advantaged gold IRA. They'll even help you roll over your existing IRA or 401k, tax and penalty-free. With billions in precious metals delivered, thousands of 5-star reviews, and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, you can trust American Hartford Gold as I do. Please call 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Again, that's 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Okay, in Texas, freedom of speech, big issue. Because the governor there, Greg Abbott, says, look, you work in the public schools in Texas, and you're happy about Charlie Kirk being dead, murdered, assassinated, you're not going to work here, okay? And 180 complaints have been filed against Texas teachers. Some of them have already been fired, at least 6. Now, you got to be careful with this stuff, as I said yesterday, because you can do rumor, you can do innuendo, you can revenge, grudges. You got to be very careful. But I'm agreeing with Governor Abbott because you can't have indoctrination. And if you walk into a 5th grade classroom or 8th grade or whatever grade, and you're a teacher and you're going, hey, I'm glad Charlie Kirk is dead because he was a horrible person, in my opinion. Those kids can't stand up to you. That's not right. And it should never be said. It's inappropriate. And if a teacher says it, that shows poor judgment. And if a teacher's going to do that, you know the teacher's doing other stuff. So be careful, Austin. Austin, Texas, be careful, but I'm not opposed to it. And talking about freedom of speech, I love this segment. So Kash Patel is testifying for the Senate Judiciary Committee. The reason he was called is because he made a mistake in the early part of the Kirk investigation by saying FBI had suspects in custody, but they really didn't. It was just a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes, all right? Shouldn't be a big deal. The man was taken into custody, as we all know. So what? They made a mistake. It's not anything fundamental in the FBI. It's my opinion. But Patel goes in. Now, as soon as he goes in, he faces the Trump haters, like Senator Adam Schiff. Okay? Now, all Schiff wants to do is bash Trump and anybody who works for Trump and anybody who supports Trump. All the man wants to do his entire career, not looking out for you, not looking out for me, not trying to solve problems, bash, 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 bash. So instead of keeping this on the investigation of the assassination, no. Schiff goes in, Epstein. Of course he's going to do that. Roll the tape.
Last question, because you clearly won't tell us the cabinet members associated with Mr. Epstein. Let me ask you one last question. And that is, right after she gives this testimony in front of an FBI agent, among others, she's transferred to a minimum security prison not suitable for a sex offender like herself. Who made that decision and why?
The Bureau of Prisons.
The Bureau of Decisions made it in
Prisons.
The Bureau of Prisons decided on their own, without any consultation with Blanche or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable for a sex offender. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No. I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of
you're
inmates.
not in the weeds?
What I am doing is protecting this country, providing historic reform, and combating the weaponization of intelligence by the likes of you. And we have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show so you can go raise money for your charade. You are a political buffoon at best.
Well, as your freedom of speech, so I was talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's pimp, who was interviewed by federal authorities in Miami, where she was serving her time, 20 years, and she should never be pardoned. And then they transferred her to a more comfortable prison, probably be described after the interview. The question's legit, okay? But Schiff isn't asking it to get information. He didn't care about Ghislaine Maxwell. He's trying to embarrass Patel. He's trying to make him look foolish. And Patel, that's something I would have done. And everything Patel, in my opinion, said about Schiff is absolutely true. Patel, look, I guess for people in California that you want that kind of representation, I guess. But he's not looking out for the country. He's one of the worst political partisans there is. And that's the truth. Fani Willis. So you remember this Trump election interference case in Georgia? It's done. Because this woman had her boyfriend involved, was running around running up money, saying outrageous things. She's a DA in Atlanta, Fulton County. So the Supreme Court went all the way up there to remove her from the case. And the Supreme Court in Georgia ruled 4-3 that Fani is over. Can't have anything to do with the case. The whole case is blown up anyway. Nothing going to happen to it. Didn't get a lot of publicity, this Fani Willis thing, because it's over. Everybody knows it's not going to be a factor. But I thought it was interesting that she got slapped down by the Georgia Supreme Court. When you're buried in credit card and loan debt, it's easy to put it off and say, I'll deal with it later. But here's the thing. Done with Debt has a little-known strategy that can dramatically reduce or even erase what you owe. In September, they will aggressively engage our lenders. Why? Because they know which credit card and loan companies are doing year-end accounting and cutting deals to clear debt fast. That's why you need to start with Done with Debt right now. In September, they can help end your debt fast without bankruptcy or loans. In fact, most clients have more money in their pockets the first month. So get started while you still have time. Go to donewithdebt.com. Talk with one of their specialists, free. Visit donewithdebt.com. Donewithdebt.com. If you are handling your own books or relying on a bookkeeper, it could lead to inaccuracies, missed deductions, and cash flow blind spots. FYSI's team of seasoned accounting professionals, corporate and tax attorneys manage every journal entry, bank reconciliation, and month-end close with precision, delivering clear, timely financial reports. They incorporated advanced tax avoidance strategies into your bookkeeping to capture deductions before you file. And they connect you with industry leaders and referral partners for growth opportunities. Set up your free consultation to learn how FYSI's experts can transform your books into a growth engine and accelerate your business to the next level. Act now to claim your free $5,000 business assessment, available for a limited time. Please go to FYSI.com/Bill. Use promo BILL, or you can call 800-877-4000 today. All right, so last night, late, I get a text from England, and it's President Trump. And I got to set this up a little bit. Last Thursday, I gave him a copy of Confronting Evil at Yankee Stadium when I met with him to talk about Charlie Kirk and Putin. Putin's on the cover of Confronting Evil. And I said, look, I know you're busy, you might not have time to read the whole book, but read the Putin chapter. It's very important you understand this guy, and he is as troubled, and he's a frightening son of a you-know-what, because he's got nukes. So last night I got this text, quote, "People love your new book. You are amazing. President Donald J. Trump." Now, he didn't put Bill, but he did send it to my text number, so I think he meant me, but it could have been a mistake. He could have been writing to somebody else, but I think he's getting good feedback. People who have read the book are telling him, hey, this is something we need to know about, we need to discuss, and all of that. So I had never gotten a text like that from him before. I get occasionally a text from him, but it's usually policy and usually a question that he wants my opinion on or asking about my kids. And very thoughtful that way. That's about my children and things like that. And I text him back. Once in a while, I will text him with something I feel is very important that I may have uncovered or he might not know about, something like that, but not often, because I don't intrude. I never call him. It's just, he's the president, okay, and he knows where to find me. But anyway, that was a nice text that he sent, and figured you want to know about it. Tomorrow, on Thursday, on No Spin News, I'm going to play some of the press that I'm doing for the book. It's all been very positive, except for one. Somebody got mad at me, and I'll tell you about that tomorrow. But I think you'll find it interesting. So thank you for watching No Spin News tonight. I'm Bill O'Reilly. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.